Chapter 2288 Autumn Wind Sweeping Fallen Leaves 1. The eldest princess, the heir to the Wulwan Empire, was wearing a dark golden combat uniform, but the worry between his brows did not disappear. He walked forward and saw that the huge cave had already been equipped with warehouses and houses. The various yellow-green crystals around it were all very high-level energy crystals. This is indeed a perfect refuge, very far away from the Wulwan Empire, and its location is known only to a very small number of high-ranking royal family members. He put his hands behind his back, lowered his head, and said thoughtfully, "I hope nothing will happen to the Empire. Otherwise, he would need to shoulder the burden of restoring the country, which would be too heavy." The loyal guard quickly said, "God will protect the Wulwan Empire. However, Your Highnesses, if anything happens to the Empire, we hope you will be crowned immediately. Lead the flame of the Wulwan clan and rebuild civilization." Ace nodded, a ray of determination flickering in his eyes. As the heir to the royal family, he received the best education since childhood, teaching him how to be a qualified ruler. Ace turned around and immediately gave orders to the noble members around him. "Calgar, go check the warehouse downstairs and take inventory of the supplies. We must be prepared for a protracted war. Gulst, go arrange a place to stay and also figure out the geography of the entire underground cave." Ace commanded everyone in an orderly manner, allowing the exiled noble boys to quickly find their backbone. Everyone had no time to worry about the affairs of the Empire and quickly plunged into their busy work. After a few hours, the place was tidied up. Infinite hope arose in their hearts, and they felt that they were prepared for the worst. Ace stood on a high ground with his hands behind his back, looking down at the refuge base below. He sighed and said, "With these vast resources, even if the Empire is destroyed in this war, I can still continue the flame of my race. The Wulwan clan will not perish just like that." Before he finished speaking, a roaring sound suddenly came to his ears. Ace was startled and turned his head suddenly. The passage we came from had been blocked by them, but the sound came from there. Theoretically, only a very small number of core members of the royal family know about this passage. Everyone was terrified, and the two loyal guards raised their guns and aimed forward. Boom! A submarine broke through the rocks blocking the way and appeared in front of everyone. Seeing the submarine, everyone felt much more relaxed because it was the flagship of the imperial royal family. Then, the submarine opened, and an elderly lizard man with white hair, dressed in luxurious clothes and looking majestic, walked out. When he saw him, Ace's eyes immediately lit up, and he breathed a sigh of relief. "Uncle Zenker, I'm relieved to see you here. It seems the crisis to the Empire has been resolved." Zenker smiled at Ace and the others who looked hopeful. "Yeah, I'm glad to see you too. Because now, I can follow my master's orders and kill you all." As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere on the scene suddenly became extremely solemn. Zenker's eyes turned ferocious. The bloodline of the Wulwan clan must be completely eradicated. "You all must die." As soon as he finished speaking, dozens of combat-type mechanical life forms suddenly rushed out from the submarine. These guys made of steel pointed the black muzzles of their guns at the sparks of the Wulwan Empire in front of them. "Uncle Zenkel." Ace didn't understand what was happening and shouted in despair and anger. But no one explained to him the reason. Terrifying lasers shot toward their bodies, even though the two loyal guards quickly rushed over to block them. But they only have the level of top-level Delta. How can they withstand the attacks of dozens of combat-type mechanical life forms at the same time? In a flash, their bodies were pierced like sieves. Those lizard-men teenagers wailed in despair and released their special abilities in an attempt to fight and escape. They are all talented people with great talents and excellent bloodlines. As they grow up in the future, it is possible that among these 100 or so people, there may even be 3 or more Epsilon-level mutants. But today, they have no chance to grow. The laser weapons penetrated the space mercilessly, shooting them into pieces one by one. In less than a minute, there was no living creature on the scene. That's right, not a single one left. The old lizard man royal who led the way, after completing his mission, smiled and pierced his own temple with a pistol. My master's order is that all lizard men must die, including myself. The mechanical life forms came over and collected all the corpses on the ground. It is necessary to ensure that they are completely dead, so life samples must be brought back and compared with the biological database of the Wulwan Empire. Although they seem to be very general when eliminating the lizard men, in fact, the identity information of every killed lizard man must be uploaded to the database and compared one by one. If there is a discrepancy in numbers after the war, the person in charge of that area will be held accountable. The lizard men have been cleared. A mechanical life form reported the situation here to Yang Xinshin. Yang Xinshin looked at it calmly. Now, we have gained another large amount of resources. Zhang Yi brought Yang Xinshin and others to the top of the palace, which is the highest point in the entire Wulwan Empire, overlooking the entire Wulwan Empire. The shouting and screaming continued in his ears, but Zhang Yi had no time to pay attention to the scene. He was thinking about something else in his mind. Compared to the huge planet, the space where the Wulwan Empire is located seems extremely small. Even if there's room for 6 generations of human life on the entire surface, it's only the surface of the planet. It's hard to imagine how many secrets and powerful ancient civilizations are hidden on this planet. He stroked his chin and said, "Our battle shouldn't have caused much of a stir. Therefore, this part of the Wulwan Empire is completely safe." After hearing what Zhang Yi said, Yang Xinshin immediately understood what he was planning. "Brother, do you want to turn this place into our refuge base in the future?" Zhang Yi smiled slightly and asked Yang Xinshin, "What do you think? This place is very large. Even if the entire population of Huashu country were to be accommodated here, it wouldn't be a problem. We have to prepare early. Maybe one day in the future we will need to live in hiding." He stretched lazily. "I don't have too many requirements. This place is big, with a sky and white clouds. All I need is an artificial sun and moon, and then it won't be much different from the outside world." Chapter 2289 Autumn Wind Sweeping Fallen Leaves 2. Yang Xinshin's eyelids drooped slightly. Her long eyelashes were black and shiny. When she was thinking about something, she always gave people a cold and unapproachable feeling. Soon she raised her head and said to Zhang Yi seriously, "I don't think this place is that safe yet." Zhang Yi asked, "Why?" Yang Xinshin smiled and said, "If this place is really that good, then why did the Wulwan Empire invade the Huashu kingdom?" This sentence made Zhang Yi burst into laughter. "You have a point. The world is huge, and what is presented to them is only a tiny part of it, so there is no need to consider diving into the underground world so soon." Yang Xinshin said, "However, if we don't consider so many people and only consider the tens of thousands of people in our Tianhai city, there are better places to go." She turned on her smart device and projected the scene of shelter number 1 for Zhang Yi to see. The people of the Wulwan Empire themselves know that this place isn't safe enough. So they built a refuge base 180 kilometers away, to the side and below. Yes, there are 2 other similar bases. I've already sent people there to wipe out the remaining lizard men. This place is kept secret. It was built by the Wulwan Empire to preserve its fire. It has enough space to accommodate tens of thousands of people, and it also has fertile soil for growing plants and a large amount of energy crystals. Zhang Yi smiled and looked at the scene there, then leaned close to Yang Xinshin's ear and said, "These places are secrets that only we know." He didn't plan to tell people in other regions about the 3 refuge bases. Not long after, all the Wulwan tribe members in the other 2 refuge bases were also killed. Their biological samples were taken back, and the investigation was not stopped until they were confirmed to be all dead. At this point, the hope of the continuation of the Wulwan Empire had been cut off by Zhang Yi himself. However, Zhang Yi was not in a hurry to report the news here to the people on the ground and in the 6 major districts. More than 20,000 meters underground, it is difficult to transmit signals back. However, humans always have many ways to send back signals. In fact, after the silver-armored generals died in battle one after another and Zhang Yi killed Jing Lu, completely securing victory, The aliens in each region used the powerful signal transmitters they carried with them to feed back the intelligence here to their own regions. However, none of these signals actually left the underground world. Above the sky, Liu Qian's 3 super battleships were guarding against the Wulwan Empire while also intercepting various messages from them. This information came from the Epsilon-level mutants in various regions. After Liu Qian received it, a playful smile appeared on his face. Brother is right. You guys started to think crookedly after winning. I'm just so sorry. In this war, you're destined to only be supporting roles. So, figure out your place, you bastards. Liu Qian frowned, his eyes filled with anger. Don't covet things that don't belong to you. She intercepted everyone's messages and forwarded them to Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin. After reading it, Zhang Yi smiled faintly and didn't take it seriously. I should go to work too. He looked at Yang Xinxin. Are all the explosives burial nodes of the self-destruct system included? Yang Xinxin nodded and shared it with Zhang Yi. Very good. Zhang Yi took Yang Xinxin with him and went directly underground. He first took down all the buried self-destruct system explosives in the entire Wulwan Empire. The entire system has been controlled by Yang Xinxin, and the process of removing the explosives is very simple. An explosion system that covers the entire Wulwan Empire and can reduce hundreds of thousands of square kilometers to ashes must be an extremely terrifying energy system. Zhang Yi found that kind of explosives, which was indeed completely different from the explosives used by humans. It's not gunpowder or even nuclear material, but a special energy crystal. Sure enough, the energy system used by the ancient civilization in the underground world is completely different from ours. They took the planet's most precious resources, leaving us with only cheap, inefficient fossil fuels. Ha! But now they're all mine. Zhang Yi dismantled those things one by one. These precious energy, massive amounts of energy, can help him rebuild a huge mechanical army and power his super battleship. Even create a super god of love that is far beyond the current human world civilization. Within 2 hours, Zhang Yi ran to all the locations where explosives were buried in the Wulwan Empire and collected all the explosives. Then we will go to various energy mining areas, warehouses, arsenals, chemical plants, and other areas where large amounts of strategic materials are stored. He collected almost all the valuable resources of the entire Wulwan Empire into his other dimensional space. This action was so big that it was impossible to hide it from others. In Shengjing District, Shang Dawen watched helplessly as Zhang Yi waved his hand as an entire warehouse of energy crystals was taken into the alien space. The entire warehouse, a huge underground warehouse as big as a hill, rose from the ground and fell into Zhang Yi's alien space. Shang Dawen was not far away, on his way. Seeing this scene, he stopped where he was, opened his mouth, and his eyes were full of helplessness. Zhang Yi saw him, and Shang Dawen quickly greeted him with a smile. Hey, Lord Chaos. I didn't expect you to look so well. Shang Dawen was secretly shocked. After he knew that Zhang Yi had defeated Jinglu, he was shocked by Zhang Yi's current strength. But nothing can be more shocking than seeing Zhang Yi unharmed. He didn't know what means Zhang Yi used. But he knew that Zhang Yi killed Jinglu, not defeated him, but killed him. It is not difficult to defeat a strong opponent. As long as there is a gap in strength, you can defeat your opponent by performing better than him in battle. But when a night-level alien is determined to escape, who can kill him? They all knew very well the strength of the Gatekeeper of Hades. That was a terrifying force that was once enough to destroy the entire Huaxiu kingdom. Even he couldn't escape from Zhang Yi's hands? And Zhang Yi, without a single injury on his body, even looked full of energy as he came to collect the supplies? Shang Dawen had a lot to say, but now he didn't dare to utter a single word. He bowed to Zhang Yi with the utmost humility. Zhang Yi simply said to him, After we wipe out the Wulwan Empire, I will distribute these supplies. You won't lose anything you deserve. After saying that, Zhang Yi didn't even look at Shang Dawen and left the scene in an instant. The next moment he was 4 kilometers away. Shang Dawen looked at Zhang Yi from afar, and then he dared to breathe deeply. He now has a feeling that if Zhang Yi wants to, he can kill him instantly. Chapter 2290 Autumn Wind Sweeping Fallen Leaves 3. Zhang Yi did not shy away from taking almost all the strategic resources of the entire Wulwan Empire. The remaining small things, such as food and some advanced machinery and equipment, are left for the people in the 6 major districts to enjoy. Although people from the 6 districts sent messages to the headquarters, they did not receive a response for a long time and naturally realized that the information channel was blocked. No one dared to act rashly. In this battle, the strength displayed by the Tianhai City team was enough to easily kill them all. In the face of absolute strength, the last bit of thought in his heart completely disappeared. A day just passed like this. The Wulwan Empire was still a beautiful scene of flames and smoke, and the wailing of the lizard men sounded so pleasant. Only then did Zhang Yi open the communication channel and send the good news to the top leaders of the 6 regions. The Wulwan Empire has been taken. We will need to spend a few days cleaning up the battlefield. Don't worry. Just a few simple words made the top leaders of the 6 districts so excited that they all lost their composure. Fuck, that feels good. In the Donghai region, Li Guangxiao slammed the table and stood up, not caring that his palms were red from the force, and his eyes were bloodshot. In fact, he has not closed a wink since the army set out yesterday until now, and he can't sleep at all. This battle for national destiny, if lost, the entire Huashu kingdom might be destroyed. How could he not worry? In fact, it wasn't just him. None of the senior officials in the 6 districts who knew the inside story could sleep that night. Therefore, Li Guangxiao's excitement can be imagined. He paced back and forth in the office, laughing like a fool. Great, haha. Zhang Yi, awesome. You're truly awesome. When he was excited, the old god of war couldn't stop swearing, without caring about his image as a commander at all. In the southwest region, 2 brothers who were responsible for the funeral prayed for the army in the temple. After hearing the news, the 2 looked at each other with relaxed smiles on their faces. Monks are supposed to have pure 6 senses, but they are Buddhas who have left the world, and they accept the worldly thoughts in their hearts calmly. Amitabha. Your Excellency Hun Chaos is indeed worthy of being the reincarnation of Guru Padmasambhava. In my opinion, he shouldn't be the reincarnation of Guru Padmasambhava. The Guru can only subdue the demons of the demon kingdom, but Lord Chaos is more powerful than him. Well, from now on, let's announce to the public that he is the reincarnation of Buddha. Past brother. Luo Zhua shook his head helplessly. Soon after, such a news began to spread in Tantric Buddhism. The Undertaker said that Lord Hun Dun has surpassed the Buddha's status in Tantric Buddhism. In the Jiangnan region, Zhu Zheng breathed a sigh of relief after receiving news from Zhang Yi. Since you've won, come back soon. I was always worried when you were away. It was natural to feel happy, but he was also worried that Gao Chongkong would come to seek revenge on him. Today, his fear of Zhang Yi has completely disappeared. People will only envy and fear those who were once weaker than themselves, but are now stronger than themselves. But once those characters surpass oneself too much, this feeling will turn into admiration. Zhu Zheng now begins to admire Zhang Yi. Are you kidding? Would a superpower who has the ability to destroy underground civilization care about his mere power in the Jiangnan region? Zhu Zheng was only thinking about how to cling to Zhang Yi's support in the future. The response from all regions was very encouraging. Of course, no accidents happened in Huashu Kingdom during the day. Because of this massive military operation, Zhang Yi secretly transported troops, so there was no movement at all. So the outside world knows nothing about this. And because the war took place underground, until now, no one knows that the once mighty Wulwan Empire has been destroyed by the Huashu Kingdom's coalition forces. Shengjing region. Meng Yuanjun pushed open the door of the Hotudi Temple in the bitter wind and snow from the north. He said excitedly, Ho-Tu, we won. We won. We destroyed the Wulwan Empire in one day. This is an unprecedented achievement. Meng Yuanjun was filled with joy as he paced back and forth in the Earth Temple. Looking at the world today, which country in the world has such strength? From now on, my Huashu country will be the top of the world. And after this battle, any force will have to consider the consequences of angering our Huashu Congress. Ho-Tu slowly opened her eyes, her face expressionless, but her eyes became much softer. She felt her puppet doll being used, and realized that Zhang Yi would soon start fighting with Zhenglu. It's a pity that she has to guard her own country and cannot go to the front line in person. However, Zhang Yi still won. He led the army of Huashu Kingdom and achieved a complete victory at an incredible speed. It's really scary, Ho-Tu murmured. Meng Yuanjun was stunned for a moment. Ho-Tu, what did you say? Ho-Tu said, I mean, that guy Hundun is really scary. She paused, shook her head and said, No, to be exact, they are really scary. Meng Yuanjun's excitement was somewhat dampened. After some thought, he asked, Are you saying that Chaos Team is terrifying? He smiled and said, But I don't think this is a bad thing. The stronger they are, the stronger our Huashu nation will be. Ho-Tu said nothing more. She was just a little jealous. Although she always thought of herself as a person indifferent to fame and fortune, she never cared about the title of Huashu country's #1 master. However, so quickly, Zhang Yi had completely overshadowed her fame, quickly rising to become an extraordinary strong man. Deep down, I still feel a little unwilling. It turned out that she was not as indifferent as she imagined. Anyway, everything is good. That's all. She took a deep breath, stood up from the cushion, and looked at Meng Yuanjun calmly. How are the things I asked you to prepare going? The excited smile on Meng Yuanjun's face slowly faded, and his tone returned to calm. It's almost ready. Do you want to go over and take a look? Ho-Tu nodded. Then let's take a look. Meng Yuanjun extended his hand and invited Ho-Tu to walk out of the Temple of the Earth. The two of them took a car to an underground experimental base in the center of Xingjing City. This is a building located more than 1,000 meters underground. In terms of scale, it is no worse than the Scientific Research Center in the Jiangnan region, and the area below is even larger. In order to build this research base, Zhong Yu was specially asked to open up a large space underground. Although the person is gone, this research base has grown bigger and bigger. The two men walked through a series of heavily guarded corridors and came to an extremely open underground space. Through the glass, what appeared before their eyes were hundreds of thousands of small nutrient tanks stacked up layer upon layer.